Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome back to the Pitch Perfect podcast, the first podcast episode that we've recorded in 2025 with a guest. And today that guest is Summer. She's a two-time Rainbow Pitch League competitor. She was featured on the Hunted premiere event and is the sole person responsible for getting the Kraken's Ether Vein banned. So, welcome, Summer. How are you doing?
Kiki, hi, Elaine. I'm glad to be joining you. I'm so excited to talk about.
Beautiful. That is why we have you here. I also forgot to say, tell us a bit about yourself, who are you exactly? Why are you on here? Why are you notable?
I am a controversial shitposter, a vile feminine. I've gotten in trouble for being outspoken, and I'm also a little horny.
Like right now, or
Fly me.
like is that like an aside to this? Like just by the way, just let you know, I'm kind of feeling it right now. Like
It's just sort of all the time, and then sometimes I post about it in my duel, how horny I am. Sometimes particularly about cars and the stab art and kinds of currency.
Did we introduce ourselves? My name is Kiki, and of course, we also have Elaine. We're your co-hosts. Hi, Elaine. How are you doing today?
I am good. How are you, Kiki?
I'm doing great. We had your birthday last weekend. Now it's my turn. The drinks already started. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm still like on a fairly sober level right now, but we'll see how things go. But yeah, so welcome you all to the Pitch Perfect podcast. It's gonna be a fairly standard episode, I think. I don't think we have anything. Actually, I forgot we have a few different segments today.
We have fun stuff, yeah.
We have so much fun stuff, but we're gonna start off with something that we kind of do most weeks, which is our community shoutouts. So, Elaine, did you want to start us off with that?
Yeah. So first, I think we just, as a podcast, want to acknowledge that as far as we know, VML, which is a League of Magic the Gathering, similar to what we do in RxPL, is done for now. And so we just really wanted to send out a thank you to that community, because if you haven't been a long-time listener, you might not know that VML is a huge part of what inspired the work that we do here. We've met with the VML creators on screen and off screen, and actually, in fact, I think one of our very first episodes, when before your time, Kiki, when it was Melody and myself, and we had Yuki Lee Binder on. Yuki told us like, oh, it would be really cool if we had like a similar initiative to VML in Flesh and Blood, and thus the Rainbow Pitch League was born. So it's really, I think a lot of people in the community are heartbroken to see VML go for Magic the Gathering, and also there's a lot of overlap, so people in our Flesh and Blood community as well. And we just wanted to say thank you and acknowledge that that's going on. And also, yeah, I think it's maybe a bit of a somber topic, but it is what inspired the work that we do here, and where we took a lot of our inspiration from when creating this league. There's always ways to get more involved in RxPL if that might make you feel better during this time. But yeah,
you could come and start playing Flesh and Blood.
You could come over here.
One of those VML community members that decides that you want to still play card games, even if Magic's not quite doing it for you anymore, or the community's not quite there anymore. We have space here. We can grow. But I just want to double up on that sentiment that like the VML did mean a lot to us. It was like, and not just us, but like a lot of other similar initiatives and communities across all trading card games. Like that was the first kind of big one that got backing by the game itself. It was community run, community focused, of course, but it made a lot of waves out there and meant a lot of things to a lot of people in trading card games, specifically Magic the Gathering. But that exists, and it allows people like us to start the Rainbow Pitch League and the Girl Power group for Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, it was big. And it's very sad and unfortunate to see it go, even though I'm not involved in Magic anymore. Like, that community was still something cool to keep an eye out on, just see how they were going, watch their progress, watch people grow. So, yeah. Sorry to hear that happened to y'all. Thank you that it did happen, though. Yeah. The other shout out that I wrote down in the show notes is for the casting team in Prague, which was multiple people, of course, but I'm going to point out Erica, who was shouted out multiple times for her casting efforts, and also Scott Mines, Howling Mines, as community members, as part of like the gender minorities, I guess, in Flesh and Blood for doing an awesome job, rather, of representing for our community and our card game in general. They were both very knowledgeable, very clear-spoken, not stumbling over the words like I am right now. And it was just really great to hear different voices and a variety of voices on my screen as I watched a whole bunch of daggers being thrown at each other.
I would also like to give a special shout out to Erica, who came up to me during the team skills on Sunday and said, "Summer, do you like chocolate?" And I said, "Yes." And she handed me a 220-gram bar of the best Swedish chocolate. I said, "I brought this and cannot finish it before I leave. Do you want this?" And it was like this big.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. So, extra props to Erica for handing just a ton of
Snaps. That is amazing. I love Erica. Anyway.
Now somebody's responsibility to like make like a chocolatier altar of Erica and have it as like a merchant hero. Like someone did.
Ooh, I can imagine that. Oh.
That's all the information you have is that she gives out Swedish chocolate. But yeah, so those are the shout outs for the week. Speaking of the week, this is a Flesh and Blood podcast. We generally tend to play some amount of Flesh and Blood throughout our lives. How are people's Flesh and Blood journeys going this week? Would you like to lead us off, Summer? What have you been up to this week in regards to Flesh and Blood?
Something right there called the world premiere in Prague, in the Czech Republic, which is really exciting. I got on stream because Sam O'Byrne saw me near top tables and he said, "I need an Arachne." And I said, "Okay." I was on Arachne. And I just had a great time meeting a lot of European players that I hadn't met before. I met some people in Osaka that sometimes it's hard to get over to Japan because it's an expensive flight. So it was nice to get my ass kicked in the keyboard. And had some funny stories about the calling as well. But yeah, good times. Can't wait to dig more into it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And Elaine, have you been up to much in the Flesh and Blood world, scene, community?
No, not this week. I watched like a little bit of the coverage from Prague when I was having a rot day on Monday. But like you mentioned, it was my birthday this past weekend, and I had people in town for 4 days staying with me during Prague. So I was not going to subject them to watching Flesh and Blood coverage with me all weekend for my birthday, even though I could have. Actually, maybe I did propose the idea, and no one was out. And unfortunately, my armories are a little bit difficult to get to because this was also my first week of being back in school, and now I have 12-hour days during the week. So I have to wait till the weekends to go back to armories, and we haven't had a weekend yet.
That's fair.
I'm hoping, like, this weekend I plan on playing some Flesh and Blood, obviously. So,
does he get a ticket?
No, I mean, Not yet. No one's that hasn't started. It's a really like close cycle.
Right. Okay.
So hopefully
It's already
tomorrow.
Friday, so
Yeah, it's Thursday. So tomorrow I'm going to start poking around.
Somebody give you your birthday gift.
Yeah. My pre-releases summer sell out in like 10 minutes, and then the day of there's always people who are like, oh, I can't go anymore, so I gave my spot up, and then so I missed the sellout, so now I have to sneak in there day of type of deal. It's happened to me before and I've never had to miss one, so
Well, there's a first time for everyone. I don't want to say that. This time is not that time.
How come?
next week I'm gonna be like, Tiki jinxed me, so I didn't get to go to pre-release.
Me. Speaking of going to pre-release, I'm going to pre-release tomorrow. I have my ticket booked.
A birthday pre-release.
Almost. It's the day afterwards. Although, like, I'm probably going to be hungover. Realistically. Hopefully. Maybe. But yeah, I haven't actually played any Flesh and Blood this week either. Like, similar to you. Most of the stuff happens the weekend, I guess. But I guess my involvement in Flesh and Blood has been organizing the pre-release at the store I work at. So I made a graphic with a Syndra that was throwing booster packs rather than daggers, and it looks awful, but it's kind of funny, and at least to me it is. As like a advertising post for my store. Unfortunately, I did post one, or rather I made one with our logo, which is like this cute little cartoon Cerberus dog head, 3 dog head kind of situation. And I put that over the Syndra's head, and then I made like a whole bunch of effort to like cut out her arm and put it over it, so like it was still 3-dimensional and her arm was like still flinging the booster pack daggers. But my boss hated it, so unfortunately that one didn't get posted. But I thought it was great.
In their side.
No, I loved it so much. But instead I made a more like reasonable advertising post. Kept the booster packs, but I gave Syndra her head back. So there we go. No. You're saying?
I was just gonna say, I love when you send me like the little advertising images that you make that are silly like that. You're just like, look, I'm not gonna use it, but look what I made. I'm like, oh, this is so funny. I love it.
My boss the other day told me that he wanted me to like look at other stores' posts, how they post. He likes how they're like a little bit lighthearted and funny, whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, I can do that. Like, I can make things less serious if you want me to. So I've been putting our logo in different places. Like in one image, there's like a moon in the background, so I put our dog in the background, like on the moon, as if like he's standing there, so on and so forth. But yeah, the Syndra head was just like a little step too far, unfortunately.
Too far. Whatever.
But you know, if LSS wants to hire me to make them, no, they've got people that are A, capable, and B, better at it than I am, so they don't need me. But you know, I'll keep on doing it for our league and our podcast at the very least. If you look at the thumbnail from the previous video, you'll possibly know what I mean.
I love your fetish. Well, Kiki.
No, me too. Yeah, Kiki's so creative, also. So the combination is just great.
You know, maybe we'll see the creativity a bit later on. So, foreshadowing. Okay, so let's get to the reason you're here, Summer, which is to talk to you. We don't need to hear about my day. We don't need to hear about my editing skills. We want to hear from you. So, in a previous discussion that you and I had in person, I want to say, or maybe it was online actually, maybe that makes more sense. But I believe you told me that Osaka was your first Flesh and Blood. Actually, it was your first trip out of the United States at the time. And it happened to be for Flesh and Blood reasons. Oh, second?
Yeah, so my grandma is very generous, and when I graduated high school, she took me and my cousin on a trip to France.
Oh my god.
Oh.
That's so nice.
So nice. But, you know, with the pandemic and, you know, graduating from college into that job market, I hadn't left the country since then. So it had been about 10 years or more.
Oh. There you go. Okay, so slightly wrong then, but let's just like reword this question a bit. So
the question says.
It does.
The question says, yeah.
You changed that. You maybe changed that. Maybe that's
the question says, yeah, Osaka was your first fab-related trip outside of the United States. So.
This is what happens when I don't read the notes in front of me. But yeah, so this is your first fab-related trip outside of the United States, and of course we also saw you at the premiere for The Hunted on stream, as you mentioned. What does it mean to you to be traveling for Flesh and Blood?
Well, first of all, it's a great excuse. Especially now that I'm a little established in my career and I have money to travel, like when your to-do list or your to-visit list is as long as mine is, it really helps to be like, well, there's going to be a fab event there and I wanted to go there anyway. So might as well combine the two things, which is why when I had been hearing last year or maybe even end of year before that Worlds was going to be in Japan, I started like laying the groundwork to get a group together to go with me. Because I'm not a solo traveler. I'm very much a experience it with people sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's incredible. Like, it's wonderful for a myriad of reasons. Like, obviously, you're going on a trip, you're getting to see new places, try new food, but you also have, designated activity that you're there for, people that you know and can rely on to help. Like, I have 2 local friends who don't play fab, which is great. We had a friend in Osaka by doing regular touristy things. But during Worlds, I had a whole host of people that I knew from the internet to hang out with and to play games with. And I got to meet Kiki and Elaine, unfortunately, very briefly in a very rapid so.
Yeah.
But it's just wonderful. Like, the community aspect of Flesh and Blood and the in-person part of it is obviously what, James and Toe are going for. And you feel it. I personally feel it when we're on these like big international things. I love the local battle hardens and everything. When we're like, we all flew across the country or across the world and we're all jet lagged. It's like the most fun it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really fun. Yeah. Everything that you said is like spot on with what it feels like to be traveling and like the advantages of traveling for a Flesh and Blood trip versus just like taking the trip as you would on your own. Yeah. Also, yeah, unfortunately, I only got to hang out for so long in Osaka. I feel like all weekend at the convention center, I kept seeing you. I mean, like, oh, it's Summer. I need to go say hi and hang out with Summer. And then it was like, I'd be in a game and you'd be out a game. And then it's like our paths just never cross until that very small, very fun
these
bar.
Are the cons. It's like, yeah, during the day, I like jam pack my day with like the side events or whatever, and like wind them up so I don't have a lot of downtime. So yeah, Elaine and I were in the same building for like 2 days and didn't see each other until we were outside.
Yeah.
A couple miles away. It's just wonderful to like meet people that I never would have met otherwise, that I have so much in common with. And like there are only so many ways to facilitate that. And it's just wonderful. Like, I wouldn't have met, like the Irish guys or you, Kiki, or all the fucking it's being so important. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. No, for sure. I understand that. I get that. Like, that is why when I went to the first Worlds is because I wanted to go to Worlds. Like, it was always a goal of mine to play in a competitive event. And, that was great. It was awesome. It was fine. It was fantastic. Met a whole bunch of people, etc. But the second time I've been to Worlds in Osaka, the goal wasn't to compete. I had no realistic idea that I was going to try to do well. It was to hang out with people like y'all, It was the first chance that, like, I would get to meet both of you, actually, in person, realistically. So, when that became an option, like, that was the reason to go. And, like, Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have even gone to Japan, to be honest. If it wasn't for the fact that there was people I wanted to like meet and hang out with and spend time with. So totally understand that vibe. Was it kind of different going to Prague as opposed to Osaka? Like, were those experiences different to you, or?
A little different. I wish I had had more time to spend in Prague outside of gaming, because it was pretty much just go there, and then, go to the convention center, and then, do a little bit of exploring, like in the evenings once we were done, go dinner and go into the city center. Like, we stayed in this Airbnb and in the city center and not near the convention, which I personally prefer. I don't like, I appreciate the convenience of being in like the business park next to the convention center or whatever. But especially if I'm in like Europe or Japan, I like to be in the city and not like in like an artificial version of it. Or like,
Yeah.
even in Osaka. Partially because I knew that I could rely on the transit system, which God take me back. I knew that. My friends and I stayed at a hotel in the city along the Green Line, and then I took the train. It was like 2-minute walk from our hotel. I took the train in 3 stops and then walked 2 minutes to convention center, just so that had access to downtown Osaka. And then anything in Prague, it was like a 15-minute Uber ride or whatever. But we got to see like the beautiful buildings and the mosaic sidewalks. So stunning.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish I had more time. I'm not too sad about it just because it was cold. That's like and like a wet, damp cold that sort of like sticks to your, like, I'm in Chicago and it's gnarly here. Like I landed here and took in my first breath, and it was so cold. It was in the negatives. It hurt my lungs to breathe. Partially because it's so dry here as well. So that's just to say, let's go back to Prague for another stop in April. That would be ideal.
During a warmer month, maybe.
Yeah.
During a warmer month. Yeah, I was able to be a little bit more touristing in Osaka. Just because it was more pleasant. Like,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, the travel in Osaka is so much easier. It's so easy to get around there. So, you've made a lot of connections internationally from being a prominent social media personality in the online flesh and blood spaces. You and I even built our friendship kind of based off this. What was it like kind of meeting these sort of people, these connections you made in person for the first time? Do you have any sort of expectations or plans when you're meeting these people for the first time?
I think you have to be open to all sorts of different reactions, and also be like, for example, when we met, I found you in the Shinkansen station, and we were both, I recognized you, but we were both stressed trying to find our not our gate, our platform sessions.
Yeah.
For our Shinkansen trains to go from Tokyo down to Osaka. And so we were both like, "Hi, it's so good to see you." And then sometimes people will come up to me while I'm like shoveling my face, because I'm a very hungry person. So sometimes I'll just be like shoveling like chop corn or whatever. And someone will be like, "Hey," and I'm like, "I just took a huge bite." Okay. Just to say, I'm just like the most awkward person. But it's like, you can generally like get into the groove once people have calmed down, especially if you can like sit down and talk, and either in the convention center or be open and don't have any expectations. Also, this isn't one that I've ever encountered, just because the women's bathrooms are never full, but I know that some dudes will like go up to other dudes. Oh, they're at the urinal. It should be spots. So like, don't do that one. Don't do that one. All that. Wash your hands.
Oh yeah.
That's so many people. You gotta wash your hands. Touching cards.
Yeah, so we're touching each other's cards.
Even if you weren't touching my cards, I still want that from you.
I still want that
You're
from
just-
you. Especially when you're touching my cards, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I had people come up to me, and it's always good to get a reminder, like a username or whatever. I got that this weekend, and then also I'm happy to sign cards, his name and stuff like that, or I've signed some very funny things.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's great fun meeting people.
That is why we play this game. And also, you're hilarious. I'm sure, like, your vibes bounce off to other people. Unfortunately, when we first met, it was very stressful. And I believe, just on the topic of being very hungry people, we're both trying to find food before we got our Shinkansen from memory. Like, I was looking for a ramen place that was behind a gate on a platform I wasn't intending to go on otherwise, and we were trying to weigh up whether it was worth going through there or not, and you were trying to find bento boxes to take on the train. So, I guess it is kind of indicative of who we are, which is hungry.
Well, and you're on such a struggle bus because there's so little vegan to these items.
Oh my gosh. I was so concerned about you that whole trip, yeah.
I just kept checking in and be like, what have been the meals today? And you're always like, hash browns.
Yeah. Thank you, 7-Eleven and Family Mart, for not putting animal products in your hash browns. That was my breakfast almost every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes lunch and occasionally dinner.
Okay. Speaking of being a prominent member of the Flesh and Blood community, we touched base briefly on the fact that you were on stream for the premiere. Also, you're responsible for Cracker Aether Veins being banned. And then you were a featured player on RxPL Season 2. So what was it like for you to be a public-facing figure playing Flesh and Blood? Like, do you have any stories you want to share? Also, just mad props for playing on stream, because I've said it many times. I would hate to play Flesh and Blood on stream. I just don't. It would make me too nervous. So mad props, but yeah.
I do get nervous, absolutely. I try not to show it, but I get really nervous. Especially this latest time, because I was like jet lagged and hungry. As I've mentioned before, I'm a very hungry person. And I'm blaming that for my ceremonious death on stream. Because I have a card that I wanted to block with that turn. Didn't block with it. Unceremoniously died. And it was so funny because I didn't realize that Erica was testing my game until she came up to me later and she was like, I was so excited about your game. What happened? What? I didn't even really care about chat giving me shit because, like, I don't care about chat. But I was like, I'm disappointed, Erica. Game is going to go to third cycle. It's going to be a grind test. And then I forgot to block and died.
I was shook when I was watching that game, just briefly, because I was watching it live. And I actually screenshotted it to send to you on Discord and be excited, just like, woo! And then the game just ended really suddenly with this no block, and I was like, I feel like you weren't in a bad position. Why are you saying that?
I had a whole game I was ahead, and then I forgot to block and fucking died.
It's okay.
I decided not to send a screenshot to you, like, maybe now's not the time to just be like, I saw you on stream.
Honestly, and I went out last three on stream. Really fun. I'm just owning it. I'm gonna see how long I can go on the streak of not winning on stream. Yeah, I mean, to go back to your original thing, it's funny because I like being perceived.
Mhm.
So I just like stumbled into this. Like, I just like tweets to like
Mhm.
put out my little gremlin thoughts when people respond to it. And now they know me, and it's very strange to me because like, especially when I like sit down and someone's like, "Oh, you from Twitter," and I'm like, God, can you not perceive me? I'm just here making my full little jokes. The fact that people think that I post church clout or whatever, it's so funny because I just like, nah, man, I'm bored.
I just make my friends laugh.
Yeah, exactly. I just laugh. I want to make myself laugh, and you know, I think I'm clever. So I think people will enjoy it, and some people clearly do, and so yeah, it's surreal, is what I would say. It's surreal, especially if I'm not a great fit. I keep ending up in these situations, but at least, you know, like I believe I will say games are entertaining, which is all I can hope for.
Yeah.
You know, especially Crack and Day thing. Which, by the way, did you see the Zephyr Needle Band?
Yes. Yeah. And people were in the group chats I'm in, they're immediately like comparing it to the Kraken's Ether band, being like,
Exactly. I'm like, all right. And they're referring to that same decision to not ban Crack and Day Vein. And I'm like, all right, I'm still involved in.
yeah.
Shout out to Logan. They were an incredible player. We had a great time on it.
Mm-hmm. You could really see that on the camera, like you were visibly enjoying yourselves while playing that and trying to figure out which cards were actions and which ones were reactions. I think your game, where you tried to play something as a reaction, but it was an action or something. Maybe it wasn't. I remember seeing that, but I saw a lot of like, I was gonna say physical interaction, but that's not what I mean. But like, you could see the animation in your bodies as you were playing. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Wow, it was great. I sat down across from them, and like the judge was clearly there to have like a good time, and like Logan and I were joking, and we're just like, "This is not a real." And it was great. And I sort of set the tone because, like, you know, they handed us each other's deck list, and I looked at it, and I was like, part of the funniest thing was like I hadn't done any prep for LO for that weekend, and like I didn't find out about this deck until like the day before when everyone was planning about it, so I didn't even really know what it did. And I looked, and they were like, "Do you have any questions?" And I was like, "Yeah. Do you want to say yum yum every time you discard 3 to the 4?" Just like the most serious. And this were a serious could possibly speak to that. We should look.
That is unofficially part of that card's name.
Yeah.
Like it's written in there, just in really small text, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's like the true text thing, you know,
exactly.
and like
Mm-hmm.
thing. And then these were not public games, but it was so fun playing in the calling. So I mentioned getting my ass kicked by a lot of European players, and you two saw the Night at the Armory.
Yeah.
That they shot. So I had my own version. So
What's the gauntlet?
I get my parents for the first thing of the first round of the calling. Stefano Miami. I know because he's like an incredible Azalea player and one of the best players in his area. And I was like, oh, nah. So we sit down and I'm like, I'm just here. And then I beat him. I send in a It's the generic card. You pay 1. It's most wanted or something like that. You mark the player. The next attack that attacks them, a marked player gets +3. And then I sent in Hunt to the Ends of Ray, which is a 2 go again that gets a +2 if it's attacking a marked player. So it comes in for 7. And he shows me 2 cards and 2 novels.
Oh no.
And I was like shaking. I was like, oh, I just beat Stefano Leone. And he's like, my dad is garbage. And I was like, thanks for the game. And left. And then I went and I was like, I like freaked out a little bit at my friends. Round 2. We pulled up Daniel Perez, noted Spanish Sunflower Samurai, and the PT LA top 8. And sit down. He kissed my ass so solemnly, but he's so nice. I don't even care. And then it was so funny. I got distracted halfway through our game because there was a judge call at the table next to us. Like, this guy had he had tried to do some stuff, but then he played an illegal attack reaction. So it was an attack reaction that could only be played on the second chain link. And he tried to play it on.
Right.
And so his opponent points this out, and okay. And then he tries to do like a take backsies, like all the way to the start of the turn, because he had like played a non-attack, all this other stuff. And the guy was like, no.
Yeah.
Then they like call a judge, and like they have this whole discussion, and then another judge is called, and it's like 2 judges all in this thing. And of course I'm very distracted for this, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm sorry. And then Daniel like gives me this look, and then he kills me. But he's so nice. And then he's like, can I help you over here? And I was like, what? So we like go to like the aisle, and he starts shit talking about that player. This player is semi-local. He like goes to a lot of the same Spanish events that he holds up every event. He's telling me about this time that this guy had like 3 draws in one event because he just kept going to time. Can't ever finish his game. I'm like, Daniel Correa says shit talking something to me. We're buds. And then my round 3 was John Zapata, who's a pro player from SoCal. I watched all like AGE stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm him as well, and I was like, God, can I not put a break? Where are the scrubs? Where are the people in my level? So I lost that one as well, and then I dropped, and there was this incredible food stand up front with like this old Chechen lady and like a couple other people making like the most delicious food I've ever had. And they had pilsners and mulled wine. Like, I don't give myself a mulled. And I am going to propose that we always have mulled wine available at fab events in the future. Yeah, this is just perfect.
I'll think about it. My store doesn't quite have a license for alcohol, though, unfortunately.
I'd be down, yeah. I play better Flesh and Blood when I'm intoxicated, so.
Let's move on.
I agree. I have an absurd win record when I'm
Me too.
over the next day. Like, it's ridiculous.
I have an absurd. I didn't drop an armory for like 3 months one time because I was showing up intoxicated. That's because my job at the time was like drinking liquor pretty much. But anyway, not because I had a problem. It was work, right? It was work. It was for work.
It didn't sound like a problem. It sounded like it was a success. Like,
and I wasn't driving. It was just it was a good time. And I was like, wow, I'm really good at this game. I think I just like you don't think about it. You just like are there playing, having fun, doing whatever. You're just following your instinct. It's how it should be.
Just vibing, taking it.
Please go math. Just believe in it.
Just believe. Just believe. Have a little faith. And a little mulled wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not big. Just have a little bit of mulled wine. Just cheeky amount. You know, if you did that at the start of the day, that might have helped with the performance and the nerves. You know, you're like, instead of like
really
facing these pro players.
Yeah.
Starting my day with some mulled wine. It was good too. It was good and really cheap drinking.
Ooh.
Logan will have already Logan Peterson will have already said this, but it was definitely cheaper than drinking water.
Oh,
That's
perfect.
ridiculous and not necessarily what you want from your country government. You might want to reconsider your water prices.
Yeah, get a little. It's good for us tourists to come in and drop it down a month. That's true.
For sure. I found the same in Osaka as well. Like, drinking was so much cheaper there than it is here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate that I am now, over 30 and don't handle it as well.
Yes, my inaugural hangover happened in Osaka for that night. The retro bar, the strong zero, and the very other cheap drinks. And it was a delayed hangover. Like I woke up great. I've alcohol than I have in my whole entire life. And then like 3 hours later, we were on the way to meet up with you.
Yeah.
At the castle. And I was like, oh, I'm going to die.
I was going to say, the damn was the picnic day, right?
It looked like the other picnic. I was like, no. But thankfully, God bless Combinis, because I went in and got an Epicari Sweat, which is the electrolyte drink. And delayed chicken.
Oh.
That's
Sounds
pretty
so
much
good.
like that was like 96% of my diet was the sweat drink, which I didn't like that it was called sweat. Because I was like, it kind of tastes like, it had like an electrolyte taste to it, but I was like, now I feel like I'm drinking sweat. Maybe it's like a little salty. Yeah.
You're like, yeah.
It was like sweat and family chicken. Sweat and family chicken was like 90%. Yeah, that was
the meal of champion. You don't need to eat. No.
That just sounds like you're, if you're just like chicken and sweat, it just sounds like you're a bodybuilder or some sort of like gym rat, right? That's all I consume, chicken and sweat.
Chicken and sweat. Ooh. Oh, delayed hangovers are the worst though. That's the worst. Anyway, with going to events, we spend a whole day at a convention center and we have these backpacks that I'm sure we all carry around. So we thought it might be fun to do a little what's in your bag segment, which is kind of self-explanatory, but we're just going to talk about like what is in our bags when we go to Flesh and Blood events. Because honestly, my bag is kind of loaded, so.
Mine is so uninteresting. But, just like what's in your bag is a very girly pop kind of thing to do. And like what's not more girly pop than like summer, so.
Yeah. Thought it'd be a fun little segment, especially because we're talking about traveling to events. So I don't know how we want to do this. If we just want to go around in a circle, even though we're all millions of miles apart.
Yeah, I see us like vertically right now as well. Like,
everyone's like,
off of my screen.
Exactly.
Should I just go first because mine is probably the least interesting? We can get that like out of the way.
Yeah, go ahead. Is there visuals? Do we get to see your bag?
My bag is currently like across my room, so no.
That's okay.
But I have stuff. Like, the first thing is the playmat, right? Like, when you go to like any card game playmat. So I have my the Rainbow Pitch playmat rather, all here. And it's in this deck box. And there's also a little compartment for the dice and coins, etc. Ooh, fancy.
Wow.
Ooh. But yeah, playmat. Usually my goal is, outside of big events, is to bring a playmat from the wrong game. I do it for literally every game. I just, like, if I'm going to a Flesh and Blood event that doesn't matter, I'll bring, like, a Pokemon playmat. If I'm playing Pokemon, I'll play a One Piece playmat, so on and so forth. I don't know why that's my tradition, but that's just what I do outside of bigger events. When they need me to be serious, but, like, I don't want to be serious most of the time. We have a deck box and a deck. Unsurprising to bring to a card game tournament. Here's an example. It's Florian. This is the beautiful World's 2025 deck box.
Great deck box. Yeah, deck
It looks
box.
so nice. It's horribly impractical. Like, it holds everything, but, like, especially, like, when you're in Japan, different event. When I was in a different event, the tables were smaller, so there wasn't enough space to just have your stuff spread out. And you can't access the dice without opening this whole thing all over again. And it doesn't just stay open, so you can't just... I'm struggling right now, but it's just gonna fall on top of each other, so... Welcome to the Pitch Perfect podcast.
Oh, and the names.
Yeah.
I have my little notebook, purple. There's a purple pen that goes with it. It's really cute. It's actually really simple, but I just like that it's purple. That's the only reason why I bought it. And then I have my keys, unexciting. I have my wallet, which is far too big for anything. That doesn't fit in my pocket, so it goes in my bag. It fits my phone in it, though. And then I'll usually have a lipstick in my bag as well. I don't know... I don't actually wear lipstick all that often, but there's just one in my bag at all times, just in case. And sometimes you know,
I keep lipstick in my wallet, yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Again, I don't wear makeup all that often, but I just have that in there. And also a chapstick, but I didn't take that out of my bag this time.
Yeah, always chapstick. Always. I keep lipstick and chapstick in my wallet. One goes on the side and one goes on top of my credit cards. Just for the visual.
Just make sure you're using the right one, like at the right time.
I've endured, sometimes I just, whatever I feel first, that one comes out. And sometimes I'm like, oh, this one's the chapstick. And it's not. And then I'm just putting on lipstick, like, on the subway, like, without paying attention. That's happened a few times. But anyway.
Imagine just, like, watching that.
Yeah.
Imagine just being someone just like, oh, she's
like,
just putting on lipstick right now.
She's going
like,
crazy.
She got a bag?
Yeah, when you put on chapstick, you just like put it all over. It's not usually how you apply lipstick. Yeah.
Not the fray.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's usually what's in my bag. For events anyway. I try to keep it light because I know I'm gonna have to carry it around everywhere.
That is a problem. I carry a lot around with me all day, and then my back is like killing me, and I'm always like, I need to lighten the load, and I can't get myself to do that.
Are these deck boxes so heavy?
Yeah.
That's most of the problem.
There's so many accessories, but they're so nice.
Accessories.
I can't help that I have an eye for fun things, like, fun accessories. I can't help that.
Well, who else brings stuff to events? It's a bold take. Very bold take to take stuff to a card game.
To take stuff to card events.
But maybe you two have stuff that you bring with you.
I do. Would you like to go first, Summer?
Why don't you go first?
Oh, okay. I'll go first. Okay. This is my bag that I take with me. It's got a lot of it, but it has like a ton of charms. And I have my big compartment where I also bring my RXPL playmat that is signed by Kiki. And it's stickered with like RXPL stickers. I have a little Dorinthia, a Liga Lavaya. I have a few Pokemon stickers on here. An Icelander, I Heart Fab. I have, a few people give me stickers and I put them on here. There's a Kasai on here somewhere. It's a Kasai.
Oh.
Anyway, very cute. My deck box has my deck. I usually have my deck in here, and then I leave the bottom compartment empty when I go to events because I feel like I always leave with more than I come with. And then, of course, my dice compartment where I have like my dice, and I also keep a quarter in here in case anyone ever wants to do like a coin flip. I'll offer that because if I'm at the bottom tables, which I usually am, sometimes I'm feeling silly. I also have a chi that I keep folded into like a frog that like is
Origami chi.
Yeah, a little origami chi frog. Sometimes I'll like to play with my opponent. I'll be like, you want to just see who can jump this frog before this instead of playing this game? Or like, sometimes I like to have fun.
I love the bottom tables. The bottom tables are stuff to hear.
No, yeah.
There it is.
Once I get to the bottom tables, I'm like, all bets are off. I can do whatever I want now. Not really. Yeah, we're gaming. I'm just being a gremlin down there. Of course, I have some sleeves with me, but they are just like, if you open it up, it's just a random assortment of sleeves. It's not a real good pack of sleeves. It's just whatever. I have a first aid kit with me, just in case. Just in case. I have goblet gobblers, which is like if tic-tac-toe and chess had a baby, and I like to challenge my opponent to that sometimes if we're just hanging out at the bottom tables and we finish our game early. I also have Marshmallows, a cheeky card game, Germany's favorite marshmallow butt game, which is also a fun game to play.
Could you ever have a separate one?
Yeah, Germany's favorite marshmallow butt game, and this guy's really cheeked up. I usually have some sort of like pickle snack with me. I usually have like the pickle snaps is my favorite. I do have some of those in my fridge, but they're not in my backpack right now, obviously, because I want my pickles cold, not just like sitting around. Then in my smoke format, I always have deodorant with me at big conventions, which you should always have. That's a lottery ticket. For cosplayers, I carry around super glue. This is some Lush. I have a bad stomach, so I always have Tums and ginger gum and hand sanitizer and a pen and pencil, but usually I don't have a paper and I have to run around and ask for like a pad or a paper or buy one. And then
have you considered having a little book in your bag that you just keep in your bag?
Well, I do. I've bought like some throughout my career and then I lose them or I go through them. Then I have lotion, more glue, perfume, hair ties and bobby pins, a set of Oakenolds in here for some reason. I don't know why. I don't play Olds. Right?
Set of Oakenolds.
A mirror. Yeah.
Here.
Some Advil and Tylenol. And a pack of Emergency. And a pack of gum. And that's it. That's what I bring with me. And I do like... Yeah. I have a packing list. I like to have stuff on me in case people like ask or need anything. In this compartment, I have chapsticks and lipsticks, and more gum and another bag charm that's not on my bag. Anyway, I like to be prepared. A lot of the times, I am at big events. I am in some form of cosplay throughout the weekend, so that's like all the glue. And then the first aid kits, just in case. You never know if you're like trying to repair a costume, what might happen. And hairpins and hair ties and games. I'm just there to like hang out and also hopefully if someone is like, oh, I really need this or I forgot this, then I have it on me too.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's actually a lot of overlap because like I manage my stomach issues a little bit better, but I'm prone to headaches too. So in the same way, I also always have Advil on me. So if anyone needs Advil, come find me, and I will hand some over to you here.
Same.
For I have my beloved Azalea with her little viewing port with her hero card. I always have a bag of pens on me. This is my Animal Crossing pen bag that I got in Osaka at the Nintendo store. Because
oh my gosh,
saved my life over early pandemic.
Me too. I became such an iPad kid. with Animal Crossing. I couldn't do anything.
Those first few pandemic, it was.
Me too.
So yeah. So also, if you need a pet, yeah. Hilarious that I gave Daniel Correa because he could not find this. So, so he has a min-max M. And here is my gay rainbow, like limited kit.
Okay, yeah.
I have sleeves. These are Chicago calling sleeves. We had a pigeon get into the convention center 2 days in a row. And this is a picture of the judges trying to chase it out. And the naked sleeves to protest them. All in good fun. And then I have all the tokens from the set. And whatever else I need. I also put random cards in here. I'm always ready to draft or play field at a moment's notice. I always have my trade binder with me, which is stickered up. I have a lot of stickers.
Oops, bird bug.
Yes, this is my bird bug. I got some more stickers. I got one from Esther in Frog, the little verdant sticker that he made. So cute. And then I got, this is my life pad. I got it from Shoma Yamamura's store in Osaka. I have another one, but I was like, I'll probably support him. And the Metal Fab Token booth in Osaka didn't have the Osaka themed tokens, the resource tokens. They didn't make it through customs or whatever it was. Some unfortunate issue. And so I went over, saw that. Shoma's store actually did have some. They were like, they were plastic, but they were still really cute. And they were like takoyaki themed. So I bought that for my like memento of my resource token. And then I have my little dice box because I don't have like a whole big thing. I just keep them all in here so that I can have them for every deck. And I like extra tokens. This one I got from Az to represent Seek and Destroy. I have my League dice, and there are all sorts of other things. And yeah, it's really fucking heavy. So we need to work on backpack so I don't get to paint and all this around, but I need it.
I love that you mentioned your trade binder because that is the one thing I always forget for events. I'm always like, I gotta bring my trade binder, and I always forget it. I always remember all this pointless stuff because I have like a well, it's not pointless. I have a lot of fun, and sometimes it's really handy. But I have like a list on my phone, like a bag packing list with all this stuff on it, so I don't forget. But I always forget to put my trade binder on that list, and then I always forget my trade binder. It's appropriate that I forgot it for the video also, because I'd never have it on me. I,
by design, almost never have a trade binder on me.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't have a playmat?
The thing that I most often forget is the playmat.
Oh my god.
Ask me why.
That's part of my choosing an outfit, is choosing a playmat that matches it.
Choosing the playmat is very important. Well, sometimes I'll even like grab it and like put it on the table and then just won't make it to my bag.
Yeah.
When I like first started playing Flesh and Blood, my playmat had to match like my sleeves, and I would sleeve my deck like separate from my equipment and then from my like hero and but like all of it had to coordinate with whatever playmat. So like it was part of picking. It was like a ritual to going to an event, was like picking out the sleeves and picking out the playmat. And now that we have the RxPL ones, that's pretty much all I play like with. Thankfully it is rainbow, so pretty much
everything matches.
Yeah, everything matches. But yeah, that was like a big thing for, like you said, picking out my outfit. Kind of the same. It was like, oh, okay, what? Like the sleeves have to match the art on the hero card, and then the sleeves have to match the playmat, and then I have to match the vibe of that. Like, yeah. So fun.
100%.
Yeah. One time, Mario was sitting diagonally across from me at an event, And I had forgotten my plane. So I was borrowing one from one of my locals, and it was like a Dory plane. She was like, "Oh, are you playing Dory?" And I was like, "No, with Dahlia." And she was like, "Blue." I was like, "Yeah, that's my hero. My plane." That's that plane's rough. So fun.
I've done that with my cosplay. When I went to the Uprising world premiere, I had made a Icelander cosplay for the Uprising version, but I didn't like Wizard at the time, and I didn't want to play Icelander. I wanted to play Fi, and every single time it was a limited event, and I'm here like white contacts, face painted, wig, whole Icelander cosplay, fully dressed as Icelander. My opponents were always like, "Well, I wonder what you're playing," and I'm like flipping over the Fi hero card. And it's not Icelander.
I thought it was a war.
And yeah, exactly. All right. Should we move on to some listener questions?
I reckon it's probably about time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, our first question comes from our Discord channel, and it comes from Greg, noted fan and friend, not Fred, of the podcast. And Greg asks,
That's that one.
Fred and friend of the podcast.
Fred and friend.
oh, I was about to say Fred asks. So Greg asks, are fab cards getting too horny? Or is the risque nature of some art pieces acceptable, but the community needs to keep their inside thoughts inside? Now, as a resident shit poster and horny on main expert Summer, do you have any thoughts? Also, Summer in the Pitches is our band name.
Summer in the Pitches is a bad, yeah.
Yeah, we do Bubblegum Pop.
Mm-hmm.
And we're be touring into the new year soon. Yeah, this is a 16 plus game. It's not 18 plus, so I think they do a good job of balancing, especially like when it's appropriate for like the hero type. Like the warriors are not super horny. Like Assassin, especially new, when she's supposed to be a sex worker. Black Assassin, like that really worked and was appropriate. And got to see her cute little booty. And I love that card. And I like the rune bloods. I think are fun because they're sort of like the Cenobites.
Oh.
Some of them are, like the regular rune blades, and then the other rune blades are sort of the Cenobites, where there's like pleasure and pain, blood, and stuff like that. So I kind of like the cadence where they're at, where it's kind of normal fantasy and then a little bit of sexiness. I don't want it to go too far into like being like, like a waifu bait card game sort of thing where it's all like upskirt or whatever. So more like the cadence. And I had, obviously had a great time with heavy hitters, aka horny hitters, where just like every card, it wasn't even really the art, it was just the card game.
Card games. The card games are so bad. That was around the time that Elaine was doing the Valentine's Day pickup line kind of situation.
Yeah,
I forgot. Oh my god,
I do that every year. I'm so excited for this year.
So everyone, start looking at your the hunted cards to see what turns you on, I guess.
Uprising 2.0. Let's just call it. Great that.
Yeah, I remember after Heavy came out, they kind of said like they wanted to lean a little bit more into the fact that this game was 16 plus. And then I remember watching the Miss Vale trailer and be like, what is that? And Kiki and I are texting me like, it's getting, it's getting a little hard to tell people like not to be so horny on main because what? But
probably use the phrase "tell people not to fuck their cards," from memory. But that's something that I often say to people that start getting like too horny about their cards, and it's like, don't fuck it, please.
I remember I just like tweeted like the like gif of like someone like with the spray bottle, like
spray bottle.
Yeah, calm down. I mean,
when people reply to me with like the rolled newspaper emoji, like they're hitting me over the head.
Yeah, I've gotten that one a few times.
Fill out.
That's a react on the shout out to the Rainbow Foils. That's a react that you can use on the Rainbow Foils Discord server because there was a point where some of us, not looking at me in particular, may have been making too many horny jokes.
We literally made a tier list video where we ranked our like all the characters on a scale of like daddy to baby girls. Oh,
yeah, it's part of the fun.
it's part of the fun.
I think that like
we added another one to the roster with that white-haired girl from the new cards.
Oh, the black
like
belt.
licking them.
Oh no, that one.
Yeah.
Double edge or something, right?
It's favor bloodshed or something like that, and then she's another one. It's enough assassin majestic where she's like pulling herself off the roof, and the point of view is like her like hurtling at you from above, like face first. It also has like some hilarious like body distortion that a human body could not do.
It's like, yeah, they've definitely leaned into it. Like, I remember when like Leave No Witnesses was like really spicy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Like the technology has come so far. I love the ones that are like that are sultry without being too sexy. So like everyone losing their minds over Snuff Out, including me. Love like, the tension in that. Like, and that one, there's no boobs or anything. It's just like few characters are staring at each other and like the tension, like you can feel it. So good.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I think there's like definitely a place for it in this game. Like, it is a more adult themed game. It is part of being an adult, and like there's ways to do it tastefully or fun or silly or whatever. Yeah, it's just kind of when people get a bit too much, maybe. Again, it's that whole waifu kind of culture kind of thing where it's kind of cringe, and like, yeah, I've seen some posts that were not great.
It's just one of those things. Like, just be like, just be normal, you know?
Yeah. You can be a little
like, just, no, silly is fine, but sometimes I'm like, that, you know, some things don't
like,
need.
Like, the waifu thing, if you commission, like, an altar of, like, Prism doing, like, foot stuff, like, do not sit across your knee with that on like your sleeves and your deck box and expect you to be okay with it, sort of thing. You know, like I'm fine with it coming from LSS, not so fine with it coming with that.
Yeah, I think this is a talk we've actually had on the pod a lot, where it's like, if the artist in the game is hot art, then like that's fine. We all think it's hot art. That's okay. We're all humans. It's fine to be whatever. But yeah, when you go out and like commission something yourself and then you're bringing that into the space and it's not like official art, like you just have to be a little more conscious of what you're creating, because everything that like LSS is putting out, it's like putting out as a business, and I've consented to like being okay with that because I played this game and I wouldn't, you know. So
on that kind of topic, there was okay. So on that kind of topic, there was this like contentious moment. Or in the earlier days of Flesh and Blood, there was a content creator that wasn't happy with it's such an obscure card, I can't remember the name. Excuse me. It was the 1 cost 4 again shadow attack that you can play for Ghostly Visit.
Ghostly essay.
It's Ghostly Visit because it's this kind of specter coming out of a mirror and she's not clothed, and he wasn't okay with that. But like, I don't know. Like, from my point of view, it wasn't anything overtly sexual. Like, the ghost wasn't doing anything sexual. It's also a ghost, so like, why would it care about clothing? But, you know,
so funny because I've never put up our cards in that way at all until this exact moment.
Mm-hmm.
But
I didn't think about it either until this content creator brought it up.
Well, it's just the fact of like for some people nudity automatically being sexual, and like I don't even know if you call ghost nudity because like also from what I remember about cards, there's no nips, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I remember this.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
A Barbie doll. Like
Wow.
with a Barbie doll, like what are we doing here?
So
I had to go pull up this card, sorry. I know what the card is, but now that we're talking about Barbie
no,
doll.
talking about the art. Yeah.
They're like archaic, like how like read the runes and stuff. Like it looks like nipples, I guess, but yeah. It's a ghost.
Runeblade has a horny place, so you're alright. Or should.
Runeblade is horny. We've watched this.
I do think it's because it's so luxurious, you know.
Very luxurious.
Very luxurious.
I ran into a very wholesome version of this. One of the Osaka locals is like Verdon's biggest fan, so she like sits down across from me. Her bag has like plastic window in the front of it, her bag, and she's layered like 30 Verdon's hero cards to like sit in the window.
Yeah.
And then he lays out the heartbeat of candlehold like that. Her deck is the heartbeat candlehold sleeves, but she's sleeved the outside of them as well to protect specifically the sleeve.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, Britain, okay. And then she pulled out her wallet and she showed me that she has the mosaic pieces, the 3x3 or whatever it is, folded up permanently, and like so that she can just like flip it out and like have her verdants like ready to go. So I'm like, great. I wore everything much.
I love when people are like they identify with a hero that much. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the best things of this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of identifying with a hero a lot, you are known as the Elliot player, and datweezy.bsky.social asks, what is on your ranger list for the rest of this year? Ranger wish list.
Ranger wish list. So I'm pretty convinced that Azalea is going to go this year, which is hard for me. And when she does, Death Dealer is her weapon, and it'll go with her, which is horrible. So my wish list is a Death or Dealer. Hit an A1, put an arrow in my arsenal and draw a card again. Just give me Death Dealer back after years, because it's one of the best cards in the whole game.
Yeah. That's fair.
For real, that's my wish list. I know it's going to happen. But for my wish list, I think they're going to lean more into the encounter stuff a little bit more. That's sort of where the deck was, and Adaria doesn't really run encounter stuff. Crow's Nest is very limiting, first of all, as like a requirement, and then paying 1 for the encounters pretty tricky for her. She's very red line. So I think this is not a wish list, but more of a prediction that we're going to see a lot of encounters. And I think it'll be fun, because I don't want to play Stinky Boy. I'm going to play Stinky Boy after she tweets. So I have it set ready if I don't get a ranger in time.
As a slight quick addition to this question, if you were to see another talented ranger, what talent would it be, if you could choose?
You love ice. I've been playing a lot of Lexi and LL, as people know. I do love the disruption of ice, and I think the game needs it. I think maybe frostbites are a little overtuned, but I think people can handle it a little bit better now with like Zen and now Syndra running blue bases. So I just want feedback. I know we're not going to get Voltaire. I do want Lexita. I think it would be interesting. I don't know if it would work. I want to do a Shadow Ranger. Arrows out of the damage zone.
Oh.
And then Iswardi actually did an altar like a month ago or with that exact premise. She had like an eye patch and everything. Incredible. A+. No notes. I want
everything Iswardi does. Yeah, it's incredible.
Everything he does is incredible.
He's incredible.
And now I want the Shadow Ranger.
No. Next question from the same individual asks, favorite non-Flesh and Blood board game / card game?
Right now I'm really addicted to the Dead Spell board game.
Okay.
It's really good. It's adaptation of the video game, which is a roguelike. And it's not perfect. I have a lot of quibbles with the rule book, but really fun, easy to get into, a really good like representation of like a roguelike and how easy it is to get into a run, fail, and then start over. And they have a digital version of it that I've been playing nonstop, and I've been playing it two-handed, which is me controlling two characters, which is kind of hectic. So Dead Spell board game, pretty good. I'm a big board gamer. Lots of stuff. I could board games.
I totally understand. I am also a big board gamer, but I didn't know that they made a board game version of that game, so I might have to check that out.
I have a lot of friends who like review board games, so they get sent a lot of stuff to review.
That's really sick.
Yeah, I was one of them before him and his wife moved to the suburbs. I was on his review crew every week, so he would get games and we'd play them for like 3 or 4 hours a week. And he would get sent a lot of stuff in the free day, early testing days or prototypes or whatever. So yeah, my board game group is pretty up on what's hot and what's new. It's fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Bit more of a serious question, I guess, from the same person. They say, I'm sure the larger complicated topic of inclusivity in the community will be covered in depth, but what is low-hanging fruit relating to it that LSS is currently dropping the ball on, in your opinion? So, what could LSS, do you think, do better?
I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot with like the DML and everything support from Hasbro, and we criticized rainbow capitalism, which like is companies, like making diversity merch and like doing diversity and stuff like that. But the way things are going right now in the States, particularly, it also is really horrible to watch support dry up.
Yeah.
So, honestly, more full-throated support and like advocating for trans members of our community is something like, especially like protections about like player conduct and stuff like that, gendering. I was sort of looking through the comprehensive rules last night, and I couldn't. Maybe I just because I'm not as much. I don't know if there's much in there about that sort of thing, and specifically some of the clusters are actively, I would say, for like Scott Mines. They're doing a lot to like respect people's pronouns and make sure to ask stuff like that. But yeah, LSS being a little bit more like pro-trans and very anti-trans time.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
I'm not the one to dictate how that goes.
But that's the idea, right? Like, like you said, currently very. I don't know how to describe it, right? But like it's controversial and it really shouldn't need to be. And like it's very much got a lot of support against it right now, and it's, I guess, currently not in to be very pro-trans or pro-gender minority supporting, I guess, right? Like you mentioned with the VML going down, there was more than like that. I'm going to assume that's not the reason why they stopped that, and like we've spoken to some people, we know other reasons as to why there were issues going on and so forth, but like it doesn't help at all. The timing was bad, and it was, or is, it's still going currently. It's like a low point for a lot of people within that community, and you know, it would be nice to see more vocal support, whether that is through continued and increased representation on stream, on commentary, and storylines. You know, like,
especially in storylines. And like, card games are such a funny space because it's simultaneously a very trans and a very queer space, but it's also a very cisdued space.
Mhm.
You know, so
Yeah.
especially like in encouraging cis dudes to like be more welcoming and being more inclusive, having that push I think would be great, especially like you know, there's a lot of Magic players coming over recently in my area, including a large influx of trans women, and everyone's been chill as far as I know, but I know that there are problems in fact communities of transphobia, and you know, the micro, what's I was looking for, you know, not out and out transphobia, but
microaggressions.
Microaggressions, you know, like avoiding pronouns, using they instead of she or whatever, stuff like that, just to be a little bit more like, this is a trans inclusive, trans positive game.
Yeah.
For sure. That's tough to segue from that to the next question.
I'm like, not to move on from the topic because it's a very important topic, but we do have to move on. And I think you answered that very, very well. And everything you said is really important to consider, and I totally agree. But to move the podcast along, our next question does come from Ronnie, or at lordyurka.bsky.social. And Ronnie wants to know, what was your favorite prog memory?
My favorite prog memory was one of the first nights going out to dinner. We're just walking along. It's very cute city center, and then we go into this like little maze of alleyways, and we walk by the museum of sex mission.
Did you go in? Was it exciting?
We didn't. We went and and it was open. And it's like kind of like an open, like the doors were open and everything. And we looked in, and there was this like machine. And it had like a rotating thing with like 8 tongues attached. The sort of the work give you it of what it was.
So I think I'm getting the picture. Tongues, right, is what you said?
Okay. So I would have to say stumbling across the museum of sex machines in Prague.
That sounds like really interesting. Not even in just like a funny, it's like sex kind of stuff, but like I'm actually just kind of now interested in it. Like it sounds like it'd be fascinating to learn about.
Like, it was funny. I also wanted to go in and like learn the history of sex machines.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I know some of the history. You know, especially in regards to like Victorian women and like hysteria and stuff like that.
Classic.
So like,
yeah.
You know, getting to learn more about that would be really fun.
Yeah, no, we should just do a group trip.
Actually, haha, are really serious.
That's kind of the vibe here at Pitch Perfect anyway.
Yes, that is. We go from really serious topics to the Museum of Sex Machines. So that sums us up.
Speaking of summing us up, I think that's kind of all the time we've got for today then.
Yeah.
So, of course, we are all online beings, some of us more online than others. So, Summer, how can we find you? That sounds like I'm attacking. Summer, how can we find you on your Flesh and Blood related socials?
You can find me at Storytime at bluesky.social. I'm on Twitter. It's not even fucking long. Yeah. That's why you're putting me.
Oh.
And of course, you can find me at kikibird.bsky.social. You can find our podcast at pitchperfectpod.bsky.social. And Elaine?
You can find me at ehamontree.bsky.social. Ham on tree, as in like pork on shrubbery or bacon on bush. I have to say it every time. And of course, all of that, though, information will be linked in the description below. Yeah, Summer, do you have any shout outs that you would like to give?
As everyone I met in Prague, and shout out to Logan Peterson for being the drunkest I have ever seen him in my whole life. As for being mentioned in his wild 24-hour thing. And yeah.
Respect to both of those individuals. It's always a good time when they're around. So yeah. And we actually have a very fun and special way to say goodbye today. Instead of our usual all stare at the camera and wave awkwardly while Elaine tries to find the stop recording button, we have prepared Sabrina's Carpenter style nonsense outros. So we're just going to go around and say those if someone else wants to go first. I can't go first, but
yeah, go on. Yep, you.
Okay, hold on.
This is what the drinks were for.
Sorry, I have to read mine though.
You're here. You're here.
I don't know why.
Why is there a thumb up on your screen? Why is there a thumb up on your screen?
I don't know. It just appeared.
What's the open cross?
How did that happen? I think my computer just like decided it had to crash and update real bit. Sorry about that inconvenience. Anyway, we fun little Sabrina Carpenter style nonsense outros for the podcast today, and I finished my drink while I was stressing out over my computer. But mine says, "It's so fun to have you on the podcast. With summer's charm, the time just really flew past. Now we're done. It's time to go and get smashed." Yes. Cheers. I have no drink left, but I did drink it. Yeah.
Okay. I need to find out. Summer, would you like to go next or last? Summer, would you like to go next or last?
All right, I can go next.
Okay.
All right, I can go next.
Okay.
All right. Love me like a killer, probably. Love me like a killer, probably. And he got me flicking like when I. He got me flicking like when I. Think you call me. You can't even. He's far away. Can't even outweigh.
I guess my one now makes sense. So, with that being said, thank you for listening to us, and here's my outro. That was everything that we have to say. That was everything. Summer as our guest with perfect 3. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day.
Wow, it really hit those notes.